Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Grim Case File. We all know what this is about. For those who don't, well, you might want to check. You're watching the wrong one. Well, like I said, recap. Went to China to capture an Inju. It's a harmless creature. Hurt nobody. Hurts nobody. Here's what happened. Where I left off. Well, we found out what was going on. They had used one of our traps to capture an Inju. Yeah, one of ours. Little bastards. Harmless little creature, and they're gonna use it for experiments. I gathered some intel. How did I find this out? Well, put it this way: recon's recon. When Jim does it, it's recon, not just experimental. Well, they weren't just gonna do experimental shit with them. They were gonna actually freaking dissect them. They had captured two. One using our traps, one using their traps. We were gonna have to get this thing in you, both of them back. They apparently were male and female, from what was overheard. Now, how are we gonna do that? Tranquilizers won't work on animals, they work on people too. These guys also had guns. Now, well known fact, I don't do so well with guns. That's why I don't use guns. So what we did was is that we kind of acquired some guns. How did we do that? Well, first off, Jim's got connections everywhere. So he's even got connections in China. Acquired me the equivalent of a machete. Two, in fact. Couldn't bring my cookery, wouldn't allow me to have it. So I bought all two machetes. No, I'm not a person to kill another person. But I had to defend myself. And so I did. I killed the sucker. Not really. What we did was that we had to get into into where they were at, into their camp, and release these creatures. It was not going to be easy. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. It had to be done. We couldn't let these people experiment on these creatures, and we weren't about to let them get a hold, hurt them in any way, because they did nothing to nobody, and they were harmless. Very harmless, very much so. Thing is that me and Jim ran into this group of people before in France. I thought we got rid of these people. This group seems to try to collect everything mythical or legendary. That sword that Sarah's dad had worked for the same group these guys are. Ran by this expedition just so happened to be run by a Frenchman, an archaeologist, and a biologist. Two dual doctrines. Wow, right? Doesn't make him a good doctor, though. So, we did what we did. We had to do number one, capture this creature. Number two, get it out of here. Now, since the zoo works for the government, we could have the equivalent to the Chinese American army up here. Well, not all of them, but a few men up here within hours. These guys were just, well, not army, police up here within hours. Thing is, the police was working for the other side too. So that wasn't the best laid plans. So we had to go about doing this ourselves. How we did this was interesting. Is that we found a gap where they were in the woods. They had trucks about to pull out. I'm pretty sure it had the creatures on it, so we had to get aboard those trucks. So we snuck into their camp and snuck aboard these trucks quietly without alerting anybody, which was kind of hard because there was a bunch of guys. There was a lot of them going back and forth, going back and forth, back and forth. We went for a ride down to where they were going to keep these creatures. This laboratory was set up at an old installation, an old mountain base the military had at one point. No, they no longer use it because, well, I'm not sure. I didn't look into this, but they no longer use this installation. For all I know, the company could have bought it. We got in. So what we had to do is that we had to make sure we got these creatures and got out of here. I didn't want to stay in here any longer than what we had to. Thing is that we had to go about figuring out how we were going to get these creatures out of here without being killed. James came up with a brilliant idea. Jim came up with a brilliant idea. Deuce and Sarah would get well, let's just go to Professor Hitone. Professor June. Me and Jim would create a distraction with Professor June, and Deuce and Sarah got them out of there. The creatures out of there. So what we had to do was create a distraction. How hard was that going to be? Well, I'll tell you. Pretty damn hard. We circled around the area. They drove in the trucks as they moved the creatures out. Sarah and them followed them. We were going to create a distraction, but it had to be big enough and loud enough for them to get away. Now, how was that going to happen? Well, we were at a fuel depot. Basically, there was a lot of fuel around and some vehicles. That, within itself, would create a loud enough noise and a fire and get their attention in the fuel depot. thing is, there was no other escape for us. What unless we went out with a fuel depot? And the fuel depot set a light. We would have to move or already be moving. Now, how do we do that? Well, I guess you guys figure out on the last one, which will be on the last of this month. With that said, guys, good luck, good night, and God bless.